Thanks so much for being with us. So Win Butler, frontman for iconic Montreal band Arcade Fire, has been accused of sexual misconduct by several people. So the stories seem similar. Young fans besotted with the star who allege that things then escalated from there and they've been left very distressed by the experience. Now, Butler does admit to the relationships. He insists, though, that all sexual interactions were consensual. The CBC has pulled their music. Some fans have been asking for refunds. As the band kicks off their world tour, they are due in Montreal to complete the tour. DUNLEVY of the Montreal Gazette has been following the band since the very beginning. And in his recent piece in the Gazette, he asked, can Arcade Fire recover from sexual misconduct allegations? And he also asks, is Arcade Fire still your favorite band? DUNLEVY joins us now. Hi, Cha.
Hi there.
So I don't know the answer to that question yet. Why are these accusations particularly troubling coming from this band, with this band in particular?
Well, I think it's because we always expected better from Arcade Fire. They're a different kind of rock band. To me, they always represented Montreal. Like, if you think of Montreal, as I said in my article, like the coolest city in Canada, there's a certain hip factor in Montreal, and that doesn't just mean in terms of being trendy, but just of knowing how to live and of having a certain consciousness about the world, and Arcade Fire has always presented itself in that way too. They stand up for causes. They do shows for Haiti. They're very involved. It's a husband and wife team. Win Butler and his wife Regine Chassagne, and they're just a very upstanding kind of band, and they even kind of border on the pretentious at times in the way they just they have lofty ideals, and we always thought that they were a little cooler, a little better than other bands. They've never been huge, and they're not quite U2 level, although they have played with U2 and played with David Bowie and all these things, but they never reached the really, really mainstream. But they're very close to it. They're doing the arena tour, the tour you mentioned. It's an arena tour, and it started last night in Ireland, and it comes to the Bell Centre. So they have reached a very high level of fame, and they did win a Grammy for Best Album.
Yeah.
So, Chuck, can I ask you then, as I hear you describe this, were we silly, and I say we, people who are fans of the band, to just buy into what they kind of gave us in terms of a persona and not realizing that, hey, this is the same as every other band? It's, it's sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
Yeah. I mean, in a way, I think you're right, and the thought did cross my mind. I'm like, and that's what's disappointing, I think. It's that in the end, they're just another rock band, and Win Butler is just another stupid rocker, who fell for the old trope of being this middle-aged white guy who suddenly wants to get it on with his 20-year-old groupies. Excuse me, but and I don't even want to call them that. They're like young women who were attending the band shows or who were really into the band, and I think he, in the end, ended up kind of preying on their vulnerability in that sense, and the stories that came forward. You can call them consensual, but I mean, these were young women who were starstruck, and it seems quite obvious that he capitalized on that, and that's just kind of turns your stomach.
Yeah, it does. I mean, this changes everything. I think about the power dynamic. I think the love affair that we've had with Arcade Fire, and the fact that there was something about them holding all of us to a higher standard, the world to a higher standard, and so we expect the same of them. Can they recover from this? Should they be able to?
Well, and it's one of those things, I don't know, last night, I think everyone's surprised that the tour started in Dublin, right? And apparently, from reports there, fans cheered for them, and they wanted the show to go on. But I also know that myself and you were talking about the same thing, and people online are saying it a lot. If you look, people are having trouble with it. Some people want refunds. Some people are wondering if they can still go to the show. I mean, me personally, I was just wow, how do you listen to a big hit like "Wake Up," which they play at the end of every show? It's this big rousing anthem about everyone comes together and the crowd sings along, and you're like, can you really sing that in the same way when this is the kind of behavior of the guy like leading the sing-along? I mean, it changes things. I think it is possible the band will continue, but something has been tainted.
I agree.
You know, it's one of those stories, again, and we've had this happen, of course, through the course of history, at least as far as music goes. Take a look at someone like a Michael Jackson. When all that information came out about what he had done, there were radio stations that stopped playing that music. I'm not sure that's still the case now, many years later. But I wonder for Canada, because let's face it, this is a Canadian band. It's a local band. And I wonder, where are the other artists? Because I haven't heard anyone else speaking out about this. Have you?
I have not. I heard one member of the Deers, a prominent Montreal indie rock band, and who came up around the same time as Arcade Fire, Natalia Janczak. It's another husband-wife team, her and Murray Lightburn, and she did speak out on Twitter, and she was kind of calling out media to talk about it more, because even in terms of media, she felt not enough media were speaking out about it, I did have a column on Monday kind of speaking out about it, but there hasn't been a lot of it yet, and I think a lot of people are waiting to see. I think the band is so kind of loved that everyone's a little shell-shocked. Yeah. I do know CBC said they're going to stop, and Radio Canada are going to stop playing Arcade Fire songs for the time being while they let the dust settle, I think. I mean, even Evenco has said that the Bell Center show is up in the air, or at least that they're waiting to see, how this evolves, the situation evolves. I don't know what that means exactly, but I think everybody's just waiting to see what happens from here.
I'm waiting for more from them. I feel like, okay, so he's admitted to it. Yeah. She says she also his wife, Regine, says she believes him and that the relationships were consensual, but something is terribly...
Yeah, but you mentioned it when we talked about this, right? This idea that his comment was, well, I was going through a tough
rough time.
Yeah, and I'm like, wow, is that really the first thing you want to point out when something like this comes up? As if that's supposed to be the reason that this would be okay?
Yeah.
I mean, that didn't make sense to me at all. I know it's a typical fallback, but it did not make sense.
No, and he's kind of wants to have it both ways. He's kind of half admitting he was in a bad place and having a rough time. Alcohol was involved, and they had a miscarriage, etc. And so admitting that he wasn't maybe in the best place and was acting badly, but at the same time saying it was all consensual.
Yeah, it just sounds like excuses to me, and there's no excuse when there's a power dynamic like that at play and you're preying upon young fans.
It's really, and honestly, like I said, the band, they've been around 20 years and they have renewed their fan base, so they do have these young girls coming to their shows. And I'm sorry, like the days of like Motley Crue hanging out with the groupies, the word I used earlier, and like that kind of cliche it's over, and it's also this is a very different, like Arcade Fire is a different kind of band as we said, and I think their fans are different kind of fans, and they expect more from these guys. I also expect more. I'm waiting for more from the band, for them to say more about it. It seems kind of like the Will Smith slap. You're kind of he's trying to pretend like that's it, move on. The show goes on, and they start their tour. But there's going to have to be more of a mea culpa or a in-depth interview of some sort where he digs into it. But even then, what's he really going to say? What's done is done.
I agree. It'll never be the same. Cha, obviously, you and I both have some personal relationships with members of the band. So not like we're best friends or anything, but we know them. Have you talked to any of the other members? I'm feeling like I'm respecting privacy right now, though I feel tempted to ask questions. You?
Yeah, they're all on tour, obviously, and I think everyone's going to be pretty hush-hush. I did reach out to the band's publicist on Monday, who I know, and she didn't respond. I think everyone's going to be pretty hush-hush. I think someone had an interesting point on Twitter the other day. She just said, does Arcade Fire need Win Butler? Obviously they do, but because he's the guy leading the band. But the other band members do have their own musical careers as well, and I'm sure everyone has kind of mixed feelings about this within the band, but so far everyone is being pretty hush-hush about it.
All right. Thank you so much. Yeah, great hearing from you.
All right, thanks, guys.
DUNLEVY from the Montreal Gazette on Arcade Fire. I was thinking, too, the fact they're in Europe right now to kick off their tour kind of works in their favor. They're not here. They're not in our backyard.
Yeah,
so
the story's broken
buys them some
there,
time.
too. Yeah, you're right.
We shall see.
Thank you.
All right.
It's a heartbreak.